Hello, scumbags, one and all. We are flying casual once again. As you can see, my shirt's not even buttoned up. That's how casual I am. This is the opposite of a black tie affair. This is a no tie affair. I am joined by Mr. James Razili. Hello.
I'm here. I'm glad to be on the Flying Casual show. Flying somewhat casual.
I see you didn't get the memo. I expressly told you to wear a tuxedo.
This is as tuxy as I get. Look, Anakin, Padme. You have a video on Monday discussing Padme's importance to the sequel trilogy. So
Yes, I do. And that shirt represents a lot of struggle for you. Getting that lineup in Celebration was no easy feat.
No, I didn't get the shirt in the lineup. I went the next day and got it.
That's right. Yeah. From your ticket. Your ticket had the thing. But otherwise...
There were other struggles at Celebration.
Yeah. But what we're talking about today is a different kind of struggle. It's a struggle of good versus evil. Segue. It's about a certain theory that was presented to us by one of our fans, Dizzy. First of all, thank you, Dizzy, for emailing us this theory. It was really cool. And it was cool enough that we decided to talk about it right here on Flying Casual because it's got some points that are worth kind of chewing on. And James, do you want to, if you have it handy, are you able to read out basically the gist of that theory with you right now?
Well, I'm not a very good reader, but I'll give it a shot.
Do it.
All right, here we go. His prediction that Kylo will turn to the light after choosing not to kill off his mother. However, she dies when Snoke orders a squadron to fire upon the ship, thus giving Kylo a change of heart. Rey scares the absolute poop out of Luke. He doesn't say poop, by the way. Out of Luke so much with her power that he decides rather than risk another Kylo incident, she has to go, and so he tries to kill her. That's kind of harsh. He tries to kill Rey. Both Kylo and Rey end up forming an alliance, hunted by both the Rebel Alliance, the Resistance, and First Order. They try to hunt down Snoke so that it puts an end to all the madness and end the war. Kylo dies saving Rey against Snoke, and Rey eventually kills him in a duel. This builds up the next movie with Luke being the ultimate villain, a hero turned by fear, still convinced that Rey is too powerful to be left alive. She's no Mary Sue. Her powers have been dormant, which is why she's so powerful. She was trained at one point and then mind-wiped because of how powerful she was. And now, to conclude, Disney says there's going to be a huge reveal. What if Rey is actually similar to the Star Killer character, who, if you remember, was a clone? She has untapped power, yet to be seen, and it must be something. And he says it's a long shot, but his thoughts, and that's that.
Wait. People thought Rey was a Mary Sue?
Look, you actually did. You called me and you said, after you saw the movie, you said, James, look, I hate Mary Sue's, and I hate Rey. Absolutely hate Rey. And if you watch our Force Awakens commentary on Sunday, all you say is Mary Sue every time she's on the screen.
I'm not very cooperative in that commentary at all.
No, I'm just joking. Andrew has not said any of that. Not once. But yes, well, you did a vote of no confidence on her being a Mary Sue. And I hope, okay, sorry, this is side Akbar now, but I hope that can all be put to rest after The Last Jedi.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Dizzy, this was a very interesting theory, and I think there are parts of it that could very much work in this movie. And the one that I keep coming back to that I actually like a lot, more than I thought I would, is the idea of Luke trying to kill Rey. I know it sounds very out of character for Luke. I know it sounds very harsh, considering she is our new main hero, which means kids growing up now are going to look at Luke and be like, that guy's a poo-poo head. He shouldn't have done that to Rey. She's my hero. However, we know that Mark Hamill had some uneasiness about what Rian Johnson was going to make Luke do in this movie. We know that there are turns coming that we don't see in this path. Star Wars has always been a straightforward kind of the kind of road where you can see where you're going. It hasn't been a very windy road. It hasn't been a very foggy one. But I think now we're going to start getting some twists and turns and some fog. And this sounds like the kind of thing I could really sink my teeth into. However, instead of becoming a villain, the master villain at the end of it all in 9, I think that this is a great opportunity to have this middle chapter where Luke does something unbelievably dark. He tries to kill this poor girl because, as you said, Dizzy, he is terrified of this power she has. And then at some point in this movie, when everything is going horribly wrong, because it's the second act and that's when everything goes horribly wrong, Luke hits his lowest point ever. I mean, we thought he couldn't get any lower. He's let his nephew down, his best friend's dead. He gets even lower after having almost murdered this girl who came to him for help. That's when Luke needs to step up, smack himself in the face. Maybe Yoda's ghost or Anakin's ghost shows up and is like, "Hey, kid, get your act together." And episode 9 is him being like, "I'm setting this right. I am correcting my mistake, and I am gonna, like, damn it, I am not gonna go down on this note." And that becomes Luke's journey for the remainder of these 2 movies. What do you think, James?
I like that idea that Luke. My question is, how powerful is Luke? I think everybody has this expectation that he is the most powerful Jedi of all time, and I don't buy that. I don't know why he would be the most powerful Jedi of all time. I can see him being a very powerful Jedi. I mean, he's an old Jedi, so he's been doing it for a while. But he also failed miserably at his temple, which seems to have failed worse than Yoda's council did. You know, like Yoda's council didn't necessarily fail. They had a Sith Lord intervene. Now you've got and control the galaxy. Like that's huge. This is just a guy who wants to control the galaxy, or Snoke, if that's how it is. So I think that's really, for me, where I have to stand on it right now is how powerful is Luke? Does that make sense? Can Rey overpower Luke is the other thing. And if she can, then you need that explanation as to why she can overpower Luke. And then that's where the Starkiller aspect of it kind of could come in, because she could be Palpatine's clone, Andrew.
You just wrinkled my brain, man. That's true. Palpatine was known to have a clone or 2 in his day. And now I've made my feelings known about Starkiller many times. I'm not a fan. But I am a fan of taking pieces of him that did work and inserting them into this story that is Rey Natasha Palpatine, and giving us some more insight into exactly what she is. Now, this scenario that Dizzy put forward leaves a certain amount of space where either way, this scenario could happen and Rey could still be either light or dark. Like nowhere in this theory does it really specifically say she's got to be one or the other. So you could end up having a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy situation here where, let's say Luke tries to kill Rey. He's like, "Get away, you're so dangerous." He tries to kill her. And by doing so, he scares her and scars her. And she's like, she's devastated because she's like, this is the hero of the galaxy that I've been hearing stories about. This guy's an a-hole. And that sort of, it takes away some innocence from her. It makes her more jaded. That leads her down the path of darkness and pushes her into Kylo's hands. And what if Dizzy said that, Kylo will refrain from killing Leia, but Snoke will fire on the ship anyway. What if Leia's death happens at Rey's hands? Or because of what Luke did to Rey, it leads to events that cause Leia to die. And now you've got Luke at that low moment I mentioned earlier where he's like, "Oh my God, if I had just trained this girl, my sister would still be alive. I'm a horrible person." This, like, you literally cannot get lower than that at that point. And then the journey of picking Luke back up and setting him right will be so much more epic and be fulfilling at that point. I think it could go that direction.
I'd be down for that too. I think, the X factor now is Leia, because we all know she's not going to be episode 9. They decided not to bring her in with CG, or I don't think they're going to do what you have said you're okay with, and recasting her with someone like Glenn Close. I think really, but I don't think they're going to do any of that. And, we all were under the assumption that she was going to be in, and that would cause the problems with Trevorrow having to leave because they had to rework it. But, Carrie Fisher said 10 or 9 is going to be my film. 8 is Mark Hamill's. 7 was Harrison Ford's. But when you look at this movie, it looks like it's almost split between Mark Hamill and Fisher's movie in a lot of ways, because look, Luke is going to be stuck with Rey, get off my lawn type of thing for a while. I mean, who knows if he even leaves the planet? We heard rumors months and months ago that he does, but we don't know. He might not. I know some people believe that he flies the Falcon, and when Chewie swats the Porg, that Luke is actually flying the Falcon at that point on Crate, I believe. But these are things that pop up. But we don't know if he's going to leave, and so if he doesn't leave, how much story can you really tell after Rey's like, I got to go save my friends on Crate, and that, or whatever happens. I don't think it's going to be that, because that's too Empire Strikes Back. So you've got Leia, and I don't. And my gut tells me they're not going to. She doesn't die in this film, but I feel like something happens to her in this film, and it might even be one of those things where she's, like Finn in the last, where she gets severely injured, or she's the Han Solo and Carbonite, for better use of a term there. But something might happen to her that I like what you said, that it's because of Luke's reactions on Acto that lead to what happens to Leia. And now he didn't intervene with Kylo and Han, so now Han's gone. He's done something now, so his sister's gone. And what does he have left? A dog, a robot, and a map.
Yeah.
So I like that idea that gets Luke to come out. And we will be talking about this on our commentary, I think, where we say we don't even know if sorry, going back to the Disney commentary, is Snoke might kick the bucket in the Last Jedi too.
Yeah, he might not be long for this world. It's a very real possibility that something could happen to him. And good point. In these trailers, it feels like we're looking at two movies that are sort of mutually exclusive from one another. We've got a story with Luke and Rey and Snoke, and then we got a story with Finn and Leia and Poe and the Resistance and everything. And the only thing that seems to hop between these two story points is Kylo Ren. He seems to connect the two of them as sort of like a tendon of muscle. He's the only one that kind of bridges that gap. So as this movie looks, just from what we've seen, this is two movies split down the middle. So yeah, the whole idea of this being Hamill's movie and the next one being Fisher's movie, I'm liking more and more the idea that you and Josh have put into my head that was just Carrie being a liar because she doesn't want to give away spoilers, and she was just saying things that Disney told her to say.
And what better way to throw us off the scent? Because none of us, I don't think anyone expects, even when you see that part in the trailer where he's going to pull the trigger, Kyle's going to pull the trigger on Leia, what's your reaction? Well, that's not going to happen. Not one person was like, is he going to kill Leia? No, he's not going to kill Leia. We all know he's not going to kill Leia. But but that doesn't mean Leia's not going to die.
Mm-hmm. And if Leia's death gives Luke, if it's the catalyst for Luke for the rest of this trilogy, then that takes my whole fear of like, well, now they need their plan B story because they don't have Leia. That puts that fear to rest, because that sounds to me like a good story, even if it is a plan B story. Now here's a question, and I apologize in advance if anybody thinks that this sounds like it might be in bad taste. I'm not trying to come at it from that angle. I'm just trying to think of possibilities here. So forgive me if this rubs you the wrong way, but we haven't heard anything substantial about reshoots on this movie. As far as I remember anyway. Nothing out of the ordinary, at least. Do you think, James, that there might have been a point where they worked this story out now, like after finding out that they lost Carrie, and they worked out this thing where it's like, okay, we'll have something happen to Leia, something devastating, she'll die, and then Luke will feel it in the Force, and that will, drive him forward in his own story. Do you think that there was any point where Rian Johnson called Mark Hamill after the fact and said, Mark, I'm going to get you in, and maybe they had already filmed a scene where he felt Leia's death, who knows? Maybe he said, Mark, I'm going to I'm going to reshoot your scene of finding out about Leia, and allowing Mark to bring to the table everything that was real about his relationship with Carrie in that one moment of like feeling in the Force that she's gone. Do you think that that might have been something that they did? Would it have been unnecessary? Would it have been poor taste? Like, how do you feel about that?
They did reshoots because I remember Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, which I believe was the weekend of New York Comic-Con. Carrie Fisher had to leave early to do reshoots for The Last Jedi. So there were reshoots. It just people don't go crazy for reshoots unless it's like Rogue One or what was that last movie I just saw with or Justice League. That's really all. That's how impactful Justice League is on my life. I don't even remember the name of it, and I actually like the movie. Anyway, no. So there were reshoots. Now that idea is intriguing. I remember them saying publicly that they weren't going to reshoot anything to fix the Leia stuff. They weren't going to course correct Leia in The Last Jedi. They were just going to. I think they said they're going to do some editing to edit things a certain way, I guess. But that doesn't mean they're not lying. That doesn't mean because I don't know. J.J. Abrams, Super 8. I love Super 8. Half of that movie was reshot in a room the size of what I'm in right now with a green screen, basically. I don't know if it was green, but yeah, they reshot a lot of it. Like they went back and they're like, we're going to reshoot this, and that. Just little pickup shots. Doesn't mean it's full scenes. Just pickup shots of an actor doing this. Sometimes that's what you need. So I'm going to be like, Andrew, you got to come over. We got to reshoot this scene. But all I need, I don't have the reaction that I need. I need just for that. And there's nothing. I haven't read anything that has said beyond a shadow of a doubt that hasn't happened. I don't think it has though, because I really feel like the way Lucasfilm felt, like Kathleen Kennedy and all that, and Rian Johnson, I think everyone felt like they had their movie. And then the question becomes, do you sacrifice the film that you have now, or do you make changes to the next one that really is at the moment? We don't even know what that was. Like, 'cause I know your concern is the plan B, but we don't even know what plan A was. So they would have. So, I mean, if they didn't do any of that, it obviously made more sense for them to go, we'll just rework a couple scenes in 9. It's way easier to do that than to come back, readjust this, because who knows? Like, you don't know how it plays out. It might be if we readjust this, then there's a trickle effect, and all of a sudden, the last 60 minutes of a 2.5-hour movie is completely reshot, and the storyline just goes. So, Andrew, what would you prefer? A plan B for episode 9 or a plan 1B for The Last Jedi?
I'd prefer the episode 9, hands down. But
so you would make changes to what? So let's say you were like, this is the perfect film. You would change that for the sake of 9?
No, I wouldn't change 8 for the sake of 9.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would stick with
because I think that was the situation that they were more in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think I know you're okay with the recasting, but I just think out of respect for Carrie Fisher, and I just think marketing wise, the classy thing to do is not have her in it. That's what I think. I think that.
But now, like you've directed stuff yourself. As a director, would you make that call? Would you call Mark Hamill and say, I want to do that scene? Like, let's say Leia had always died in 8. That was always a plan. Leia dies in 8. And there's always been a scene where Luke feels it in the Force and he's obviously crushed. Would you have called Mark Hamill and said, look, we actually lost Carrie in real life. Can I redo that scene with you where you feel Leia's, becoming one with the Force, and bring this even further emotionally because of what's happened? Like, would you make that call, or would you feel like it was...
I think it would depend on where mentally Luke is at that moment. Because if Luke is the Luke that I kind of think, or I don't even know if I think, but that I want him to be, then yeah, that moment I think would definitely be in there. But if we're going by this theory here, where he's going to become this quote unquote villain type character where he's not fully into anything, does it make sense for him to have a moment like that in this movie? Would it make more sense for it to be in the next movie? I mean, and this could even be the type of thing that when they said they were re-editing The Last Jedi around, maybe it was there's a moment like that in this movie, and they're like, we need that now in the next one. This is not the time and the place for this moment, and so maybe they're just going to pick that up and place it right there, and they already have the footage, or maybe they'll reshoot it. Who knows? But like it could go either way. But I think if Luke is the Luke Skywalker that I grew up with, then I probably would go back and put a scene like that in. Or if I already had a scene like that, do the Super 8 thing, grab him in, and just enhance it just a little bit, make it a little bit grander, so the audience can feel it. Because when Han Solo dies, when Han Solo goes, we get that moment with Leia. We get a full-fledged scene. We get a reaction shot, and then she hugs Rey, and then she's waving goodbye.
Yeah.
Like we don't get it, but we also don't. I would argue that's we don't really need it because we understand what's happening. But because she's actually passed, I think that changes a few things.
It does, yeah. All right, so to wrap this up, let's say, tell me the odds. Never tell me the odds. Luke, Leia, and Snoke. Who has the most and the least chance of walking out of this movie alive?
Ooh, that's on the spot. I will be changing this next week and then the following week. I will say Luke is making it out alive. I want to say, even though I just said Leia doesn't have to, I think Leia will. And the reason is, I really like what we just talked about where she's a catalyst for Luke and whatever, but we just saw Han Solo go. Are you just going to keep punching us in the face with the original characters dying? But maybe they are. That's maybe they are. So I would go, and Snoke, you keep hearing, Andy Serkis is bringing more stuff out about Snoke. And then I heard, he's being compared to Palpatine more now, where he's just that kind of villain. And if that's all he is, he's disposable. Because he's obviously not as wise and smart and brilliant as Palpatine. Otherwise, he would have figured out a better way to infiltrate the government like Palps did. So I'm going to go Snoke, Skywalker. Snoke, Leia, Luke. Snoke, Leia.
So who are you going with? You're going with Snoke?
Yeah. Oh, you're going with Snoke too?
I think so. I think he's no, you know what? I'm going to go with him in the middle. I'm going to go full Brock that he makes it out of it.
That's not fair.
I know it's not, but the Leia thing is such a question mark right now that it's the most unstable of the three.
But do you think that they would go back and kill her off? No. I don't know if they would do that. So you think they already had that planned?
I think either they already had that planned, or yes, that's why. Either they already had a plan, which is a very good possibility, or they didn't, and they're gonna find some way out of it, which is a good possibility, or they're stuck, which I hope is not the case. Either way, it's such a huge variable that I'm putting her at the most likely to die, just because it's the faster Leia dies, the faster they can, work around this problem. I'm sorry to say. But Mr. Snoke, I think, is more likely to die than I initially expected. Luke's got to stick around. He has to. You need to give that boy an arc. Keep him around.
Yeah, his because Snoke, he has to die, but no one has to do anything when you think, because we don't know how far they want to go with these, right? So Luke is the one that we Return of the Jedi, and this could be just like what I said when I was talking to you about Battlefront 2, the campaign mode, where I felt like the story ended, and then we got a PS. And the question is, has Luke's story ended and the sequel trilogy is his PS? Because it feels like this is part of his story, because there's a big chunk in the middle where he tried to do something big and failed. And so we need a conclusion to Luke now.
Right.
So he's the one. Because Leia, if they don't have it, I mean, obviously, look, they have a movie, a ninth movie where they need Leia. But if she doesn't have an ending, you know, if episode 8 was the last one and she passed away now, and at the end, and they're like, well, she just lives on, I could accept that because I don't feel like she needs an ending. Luke needs an ending. We need to know what happens to Luke, especially if they go forward at all. Because if Luke's around, it's like when we talk about Ezra and Kanan and Rebels, where are they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh God, I can't wait for 9 to be on like Blu-ray so I can hear that story. Like, here's what 9 would have been.
Ryan Johnson just did the commentary track for the Last Jedi, I think yesterday or the day before.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So does that mean we'll actually be getting it on the first Blu-ray this time?
Oh, probably not. It'll be like the 4-disc, 3D, 4D, Ultra HD, 2K, 2K20 edition.
Very disheartening. Well, this has been Flying Casual. It's a hot button topic. Lots of people dying and or not dying. We got 20 days? We're gonna find out. We just got to hold up for 20 more days. That's it. James, where can everybody find you?
Right here on the Rebel Scum podcast channel, and also on Twitter, Instagram at Petzafina, PEZZFINA, PEZZFINA, for those that say Z, and also the exact same name on PlayStation 4, where you can kick my butt at Battlefront 2.
I think you left out an A in Pezzafina.
PEZZFI, Petza. Yeah, probably. Look, the whole American, British languages are like really messing me right now. But do you say Z or Z?
I say Z because it sounds cooler. Because there's a lot of letters that rhyme with Z, and they all sound alike. But there's only one Z, baby.
Z like finishes the alphabet. You say Z, it's done.
It's a full stop.
Z gives you hope.
Exactly.
Like, there might be another letter.
In Power Rangers, if the bad guy had been named Lord Z, nobody would have cared.
And Men in Black, the Zed's name is Zed.
Yeah. Because it sounds cooler.
Zed's dead.
Zed's dead, baby. And I'm Andrew Fantasia. You can find me on Facebook at Andrew Fantasia. Sometimes on Twitter, where every once in a while I'll hopefully reach out to somebody like Collider and ask them a Twitter question and have it not be answered. And then I'll not use Twitter again for a year. But this has been Flying Casual. And we will see you next time here and on the Rebel Scum Podcast channel. Until then, James, what is with you?
What?
What is with you always? Is it the Force?
The Force.
Yeah,
it's the Force, of course.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.